Hi everyone and welcome back to Time. This week is Cheesecake Week. Could it get any better than Cheesecake Week? Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm gonna walk you through my ultimate cheesecake recipe. It is delicious. It seems to come out perfectly every time, and we're making two. Just putting it there. Oh my goodness, okay. So I've got two different types of crumb here. I've got Lotus biscuits and graham crackers. Let me just show you. Lotus and graham crackers. Pretty much any dry cookie biscuit will work. These are a little butterier, but not that much than graham crackers. So you can like pare down the butter a bit, but you really need to gauge it yourself. All right, so what I have here is my Lotus biscuits. To that, I'm adding my melted butter, and that's all going in there, and I'm gonna give it a good mix. And that is it in terms of my biscuit crumb. There are loads of cheesecake recipes out there. I mean, hundreds of thousands of cheesecake recipes. People love cheesecakes, and we will discuss a little bit of the history there because I love history and cheesecake. What could be better? Seriously. So there is my crumb ready to go. And because the neatness of the cheesecake is definitely a factor here, my first tip is pour the entire thing as close as possible to the bottom of your pan, so that you kind of miss the sides. So as you can see, it's all in the pan bottom. And now here is a little bit of a very firm tip on how to make cheesecakes. I like making my cheesecakes in what's called a water bath, which means that after I put the cheesecake in its tin, I put it in another baking pan, and then I fill that baking pan with pretty hot water. And then it kind of boils in the oven. And what the water bath does is it keeps the temperature constant in the tin, and the cheese kind of all bakes at a good consistent temperature. So because I'm putting in a water bath, I have to like super duper line my tin with aluminum foil. I also really did a very good job buttering the inside of the tin so that hopefully the cheesecake comes away really, really easily. So that's my first one done. I'm not super satisfied yet. I'm gonna take the back of a clean spoon, and I'm gonna run it over the bottom of my cookie crumb to ensure that everything is nice and smooth. This is gonna take a little bit of time, and I'm gonna repeat the same thing with the graham cracker one. Once I've filled my tin to my satisfaction, they're gonna go into the fridge while I make the filling. So prepping the tin for the cheesecake, I feel, is like half the battle. So what I have here is leftover butter from, you know, like when you made the crust, there's always a little bit left over. I'm gonna take the leftover butter and I'm gonna actually brush the inside of the tin above where the crust is. This will help ensure that the cake actually doesn't adhere to the tin too much, and we get a nice perfect, or nearly perfect is good enough, finish to our cheesecake. So I'm gonna do that really above the crust on both my cheesecakes, and they're gonna be perfect, I hope, when they come out. So the prep for a cheesecake seems to take forever. It comes together super fast. I make my cheesecake in the food processor. You can make it in a mixer. You can make it by hand. What it does in a food processor is that it happens very fast, and I don't put too much air into the cake, which is really important to me. I don't want it to be super light and fluffy. I want a dense, delicious cheesecake. So I've got 3 bars of solid cream cheese. They look like that. Solid blocks of cream cheese. To get the same results that we're after, don't use the whipped kind, don't use the light kind. It's gotta be full fat and solid. There is no messing about. So I'm gonna start by just giving these guys a whiz. And hopefully they're gonna break apart. They're actually a little bit colder than room temperature, but that should be okay. So you can see my cheese is just doing its thing. It's breaking apart and I'm done. I've got 2 rows of ingredients here ready to go, one for each of my cheesecakes. So I've got 150 grams of sugar going in. To that, I am just gonna do another pulse until all the sugar has melted into the cheese. Yay, I love cheesecake. Cheesecake. Okay. We're good. To that, I'm gonna add 20 grams of flour. It's not very much, it's just enough to help it bind. I'm gonna add half the rind of a lemon and 1 teaspoon of vanilla going in there. And I'm going to process it once more. Just a few pulses to make sure everything's mixed in. And I have a bit of a lump of cheese in there. I want to make sure there are no lumps. And then the next 2 ingredients go in: 2 eggs and a 1/4 cup of milk in one go. The 2 eggs, the milk is in there, and now I'm just gonna pulse until I feel like the egg has been evenly distributed and come together. And I'm gonna actually open it up. Using my spatula, I'm gonna just wipe some of the stuff off the side so it gets mixed in properly. It already looks like cheesecake. This is as exciting as it gets for me. Seriously, nothing is more exciting in my life than Cheesecake Week. And it's not just because of Tom that we're doing Cheesecake Week. We do Cheesecake Week around here every year before Shavuot. So blend that all together. Oh my gosh, it's very, very happy times here. So there is my cheesecake mix. I'm going to actually take out the blade, pour this into a bowl just to make sure everything is well blended, and then into my tin. Just so you could see how thick and luscious. Do you see that? The cheesecake mix is so good. All right, so I've got crust, graham cracker, and Lotus biscuit. I've got my cream cheese cheesecake filling. And now I'm going to pour boiling water, or recently boiled water, into my tin. And that is going to help the whole cheesecake bake really, really evenly, which is super important to me. And hopefully, but not necessarily, prevent some cracks happening on top. I'm not that bothered. I know that there's this whole thing like, ooh, it needs to look perfect on top. I'm more concerned about the texture being silky and smooth, and that's what the water bath is going to ensure. So into the oven for an hour now at 160 Celsius, which is like 345, I'm guessing, but I may be wrong, Fahrenheit. And then we're gonna turn off the oven and just prop it open and let it cool down in the oven. I know, cheesecake, it is a high maintenance dessert, but totally worth it. All right, so my cheesecake has been in the oven for an hour. They are stunning. Have a look, you see? They are perfect and golden on top. And now I'm gonna let them cool in the oven. Oven off, but cooling slowly. So I put the wooden spoon there. It's gonna fall, isn't it? Let's try that again. In order to ensure better that the oven stays ever so slightly open and cools down slowly. Hopefully the top of the cheesecake won't crack, but if it does, nothing bad has happened. This will also ensure that it sets up in this silky, gorgeous cheesecake layer. So we're gonna leave it alone for an hour. Very hard for me to leave things alone for now, but we are gonna try. So we have had our cheesecake cooling for an hour with the oven propped open. I really hope it didn't crack, but let's check. Woo! So exciting. I know, I make very excited noises around here. And out it comes. That is cheesecake heaven. Oh my goodness. Yes. All right. They look phenomenal. Now they need to cool for like an hour or two out of the oven and then in the fridge for 4 hours. I know it's a process, but this is what we do. Cheesecake, high maintenance, but it delivers, really delivers.